Okay, for some reason I was having trouble with my video equipment and it was not showing the timer on it. Okay, so if you've been watching any of my videos, I have been doing some commission pieces for a man in Denmark for 4 steampunk drawings, and I have 2 kind of in the making, and I'm wanting to work on this one today. So we're going to probably start with some of the background, and I'm just going to be using a 0.25 millimeter pen. So and I'm probably just going to, first of all, I'm just going to sketch in where all of these pencil lines are. Right now. Guess what, guys? Do y'all hear how quiet it is? I decided to take upon myself to rectify the chirping birds that I have. And I've seen people do it before, but I just went in and put a blanket over their cage. And I noticed in one of my other videos, because I do sometimes play back my videos and listen to them to see how corny I sound, but I noticed that in one of my videos that my husband had walked in while I was doing my video, and the back door, well, my studio is on the back side of my house, but I noticed that the back door made the awfulest squeaking racket, and I got the WD-40 out and I took care of that. So we no longer have squeaking doors, and we no longer have chirping birds today. So maybe you can hear me without the distraction. I hope everyone has had a good week. It is Friday here for me, and actually tomorrow we're supposed to be having a hurricane come through. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as we thought. It kind of looks like it's maybe derailing a little bit to another location. It's going more towards South Carolina, I think. And we still need to pray for all of those that are going to be hit by it. We should get a good bit of rain and winds in our area still. But other than that, I hope you had a good weekend, and that everything's been great for you. on these buildings here that I'm getting ready to sketch in. This is like a bridge scene, and then you're seeing the city kind of in the background. And my buildings I just kind of rough sketched in, but I'm gonna, you know, make it look a little bit nicer, hopefully. And I'm just overlaying. Really, when you're doing a city scene, and it's so far back, a lot of times you just do a whole lot of little, what I call various size boxes or rectangles. At least that's what I did. I know some of you that watch probably get so frustrated with me because I will say something and then all of a sudden go quiet and then pick back up on my conversation later. It's just, I will get to thinking and my brain is not allowing me to do two things at once. So that's why I do that. It's not intentional. It's just my lack of concentration, I guess, to do more than one thing. And I accidentally run over, I've got like a border, I accidentally run over on this side. And the neat thing is on these pictures, they do have a little border on them. And each one of the pictures, let's see. Well, I didn't do that on one of them, but on some of the pictures, I'm doing like one little element. I'm looking at my other picture, sorry. Well, no, I didn't do it on the other two, but on these two pictures, I'm doing one little element that kind of sticks out beyond the border, just because I think that's really cool to do that. Where you have sort of a, your eye kind of goes to that because it's sticking out beyond it. It's just a neat little thing to do. Who says you got to keep it in the box, right? At least I don't say that. I'm trying to straighten up some of these buildings because when I was sketching it, they're not like totally straight. But I'm trying to get them that way now. At least straighter than they were. They all were kind of leaning. It's kind of funny how I did that, but they were all leaning in one direction. That's what happens when you sketch stuff. And I'm doing all the buildings sort of, like I said, different size boxes or rectangles. And I'm kind of just, I've overlapped a bunch of them. And that gives it that feel of a cluster of buildings, cityscape. And I really don't want this to be super busy, because even though I'm doing it in the same ink, I kind of want it to not be necessarily the focal point. I hear my birds trying to chirp a little bit. At least they're not near as loud as they were the other day. Okay, I'm not going to start up here. I think I'm going to use my ruler because this tends to be a little bit off a little bit. I'm going to come on this side. It's just so that my, because what I drew was not totally perfect. I'm just going to do this. Sorry, I had my pencil in my mouth. I'm just going to kind of go in and draw a new little, where I want that to end. And I need to kind of redraw it. Tweaking. There I go. I stopped breathing again. When I get all intense. And I know people don't like to see us erasing, but it happens. It happens, it totally does. Most people don't want to know that we do that. That looks a little bit straighter. I'm sorry if I'm maybe a little bit quieter today. Guess I'm just not in that talkative of a mood. Or maybe I'm just wanting to concentrate really good on this. I did get in the studio, actually it was a little while ago, and worked on a different project. I have to get these commission pieces done, but I also worked on some personal art pieces going in my gallery studio, and they are with If you've never heard of acrylic resin, look it up. I do a lot of acrylic resin work. But on these particular pieces, I am doing something a little bit different. I'm actually layering using different techniques. I'm using a reverse image technique. I used a fresco technique with the paint, and I just put one layer of resin on, and then I will go back and do a second layer. I was going to say, I'll do a second layer on the finished product, but I'm going to layer in between the resin, which I don't normally do, but I'm going to this time. I just think it would be really neat. Let's see. I'm trying to find, that's the same thing as what I've got. You know what? I have misplaced my, I've misplaced my 20 millimeter, my 005 pen. What do I do with it? I had been doing all my sketches with it versus this 25 millimeter, and y'all have to excuse my band-aid. I've got a band-aid on my finger because I have a nervous habit of messing with my finger a lot. Got a Tesla coil there going on. I think that's what they call it. I was watching, what is the name of that show? Oh gosh, my mind just went blank. The two guys that go out and look through barns. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. That's gonna drive me crazy now. But anyway, I was watching their show, and they had went to this guy's house, and he built this crazy, he had a Tesla coil there. He had, it was like an amusement park for steampunk people. It was off, it was awesome. It was off the chain. I was going to say off the chain, but that's so, who says that anymore? Me, I say that. But anyway, it was really good. It was really cool. And this guy spent like, I can't remember how many years. It was a ridiculous amount of years he had spent building this park. And nobody came to it. It was just something he just kept building and building. He was probably in his 70s or later when they showed the guys going there. It was amazing though. But he built everything out of like just metal pipes and gears and all kinds of things. It's just like a brick sitting up here. I just thought about that when I saw it. I'll have to make this one look like it's got maybe some different type of buttons. We'll do a little square button, maybe a little circle here, another. Well, it's like some kind of control panel that they have to set or monitor when they go flying. And then this piece right here, let's draw that in. And this one, and this one. And these are just, this is almost like a little strap holding this. It looks almost like a ball that you can see through. And of course we've got to have a flag. And then we've got these little straps holding this on. And then we've got just some odd little gadgets running off of the side. And a little wing coming off to the side of the ship, aircraft. And of course you gotta have your panels with the rivets and bolts. And I think these are called like your little rudders. Now I'm sure I'll probably have somebody correct me on my wordage. Because although I really like steampunk, I don't do a tremendous amount of research on it. And I've only done a few pieces of drawings along the way. Just experimenting with the style. And we can make these like little lamps, lanterns. Almost like, they almost look like the little lights on a 1925 T-model Ford. What did I do there? It's like a metal band hanging, and then this one is going to be just like a strand of some sort, looping on the back. And I created these, I know it probably don't look like it, but these are like almost like sandbags hanging off the side, just to give it maybe some weight to keep the aircraft down. And there's going to be some on the other side, of course, that you're not going to see. Got to have something to weight it down a little bit. like these little lines here. I think I might duplicate that here. There again, when you're doing these drawings, sometimes you can just, what I call freestyle. You ever watched rappers and they get on the street and they start freestyling? I don't know how that got so off, but it did. So when something like that happens, sometimes you just have to fix it however you can. And this is like the top of the railing of the bridge. So it's okay. It's like a cat. We'll make it like a cat piece. That looks better. And I'll do this with my ruler, since the first time it didn't work so great. Just to make sure that these lines stay straight. And actually that chair sort of falls right in with it. Just about. And right now I'm just outlining these, the arms and the legs off of this chair. But I may go in and do some filigree ironwork in there. I'm not real sure yet if I want to do that on this or not, or if I want to make them look plain. Haven't decided yet. And of course the bench slats is what I'm drawing in now. And because it's a shorter span, I can pretty much draw those lines fairly straight without having to have a ruler. Okay. Now I'm not going to draw in with my pen these clouds or the smoke off of the buildings because I think I may do that in pointillism, and I'll let the stippling itself be the border, act as a border. So I don't think it will be necessary. Gosh, it feels so good to draw without the birds chattering a mile a minute. The little blanket thing really worked. I will have to definitely use that every time I come to a video. I'll put some little rivets around his glasses. Little bolts. Makes it look cool. He has a ventilator or breathing mask on. I think I might do little air holes right here. I'll do little air holes. I think I might even do little air holes in here. Okay. And then this hose is like a almost like a accordion style tube. I guess that's what you would call it. so it's gonna have this odd shape to it. And I wished I had my other pen because I really don't know what I did with it. It's weird because I had it just yesterday. And this guy's pretty thin. I didn't build him stocky or anything. He's kind of thin body build. Thin build. And he has a vest on. It's a double buttoned vest. There's buttons on both sides. It's more for looks than anything. It doesn't probably button up. If you look at steampunk clothing, a lot of the men have vests and top hats and pants with either dress pants or like pants with lots of pockets and like a cargo style. I actually like the cargo style pants for him, so that's what I put on him. And he's got his sleeves on his shirt. He's kind of got them rolled up like a 3/4 inch. And I wanted to do this it's not really a mechanical hand, but it's almost like some type of gear he's got. That's connected on the, like it runs across the top of his hand. On this one it's running across the forefinger, and on this one it's running through the middle. It's just the way I drew it. And then of course he's got this belt with like a pouch or like a I actually make something similar to this. The ones I make are it's like it's not a fanny pack, I don't know what you call it, but it's like what I call almost a waist purse, where on mine the actual little pouch is hooked on by loops that a belt runs through, and you can put your belt through your own pants loops, and then the loops on the pouch holds it up. But on this one, the pouch is actually, bring that up a little bit. The pouch is actually, and I'm gonna give it a pocket. It's made into the band itself. I noticed when I drew this, sketched it, I made his thumb really big, so I just toned that down a little bit. it keeps trying to come off. These bands that's on his hand actually, they attach underneath here somewhere. You're not going to see it because of his jacket, but I drew something similar to this on the next picture I'm going to be doing. This like a girl, but she has a band on one arm, and on the other arm she has a different style band, and they both have their purpose. But for him, I want it to look like he's got these almost like electrical currents running through these little blocks into his fingers. Maybe it gives him some type of, it could be some type of weapon or something, or it could just be maybe he doesn't have full mobility of his hands, and this device helps him to use his hands a little bit easier. And on my girl, I have this almost the same scenario with his is going to have a double, it looks almost like it's a double end on it. It's just the way I wanted to make it. So he's got two little things there that hooks onto it. But then it has a little loop. It goes through like a little, what would you call it? Not a washer, but it's like an open circle there that the belt hooks onto. And I gave her one something similar to this, but it's she's a lot closer up so you can see it a little bit easier. And of course more gears. I love the gears. This device that he's got, his breathing apparatus, is actually hooked to, like, we'll call it almost like an oxygen tank. Because maybe the city is polluted a little bit, or wherever he's going he'll need it. Just because the air is maybe not as good there. Maybe there's some pollutants in the air. Oh, here's some extra buildings I forgot to put in. A little bit of darker shadow on that. put like he's got a dress shirt underneath his vest. But put like this little, I don't know if you would call it, like a little flap that may be underneath his clothes. He could have had maybe little buttons holding it onto his shirt. It's like just a little flap there. And it could be almost like a protective, like a bulletproof vest or some type of little protection vest there. And don't ask me what this is. I just, when I was drawing it, I kind of thought of like a dial of some sort, or some kind of maybe a compass or something. And this is the band that's around it. And his pants are made with lots of baggy little pouches. It's got a double pouch on this one. And his pants are sort of baggy, I guess, at the knees because he has some fitted boots. And his pants are tucked in it. Maybe he has like little bands on his pants that go right underneath his, almost like a jogger that we wear today. These little pants have a band on them, and they're just tucked right inside there. We'll put a seam down through here, a double seam. And then on the inside of his boot, he has I don't know if I want to do the lacing on that or just leave them like little buttons. And we'll do a little bit of stitching here too. And it didn't have to show up like the outside does. Another pocket here. This one as well sticks out a little bit. And we've got a little folder pouch. And then he's got maybe I might do a little, we'll do a watch right here, like a hanging, and we'll have that strung up there. It's 8, 9. Would be one of these. Okay. So there's his little clock, or little pocket watch. And then over here we've got this side. I'm gonna use my ruler just to be on the safe side here. Okay, so this is the main sketch. Now that we've got that in, let's see. I'll put stitches here. And I've got some little pencil marks that I'm going to erase out just because I don't want them showing up in the drawing. And then, like I said, these clouds and the smoke off of these buildings, I'm going to do probably in pointillism just because I think I can fade it out and make it look a little bit better. And I just noticed something here. The top of this rail on this, what do you call it, the side of the bridge, need to go all the way across. And I'd like to do some kind of stripes vertical or something, like an opening through this. I'm not sure if I want to leave it solid or if I think I want to do opening. I may do opening on that, but I'm going to mold that over before I make that decision. Some things I just like to kind of hold off and maybe do that last minute, kind of just get everything else together and see how it looks, and then I'll go from there. So I'm going to stop this video, and this has been an hour long. It took me that long just to trace over everything, but I hope you join me on the next video to start putting in the shading and the detail on this. And keep watching, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.